Morning, everyone. Today is the 24th of Sivan, and we're still in the middle of chapter 7, Shara Yichud Ve'emunah, page 74, if you're in the Chayenu. In today's lesson, what we've been speaking about to this point is that everything we've been trying to describe in regards to Hashem and His attributes are all relative to the way we can understand in our words. But as we pointed out yesterday, Hashem is the known, the knower, the one who has the knowledge. Hashem didn't change before creation till after the world was created. Everything is the same from Hashem's perspective, but from our perspective, we feel independent. We feel that there was a lot of changes. We call it tzimtzum, contraction. God is concealed, but of course, God's impossible to conceal because God is everything. You can't conceal yourself, and that's what we discussed yesterday. Today, the term Soviv Kalaman, which we'll discuss, circular, encompassing godly energy, is to be understood only figuratively, because Hashem, of course, is not just going to surround and is not confined to any time or space. So it's not an actual occurrence. It's just the way Kabbalah and Chassidus describes the different elements and attributes of God, as we'll explain. We're on page 74, and this is the meaning of He encompasses all the worlds. So that doesn't say, and that doesn't mean, chas v'shalom, that God is not found within the worlds and just encompasses them, created the sun, the moon, the stars, the heavens, and the earth, and then just surrounds everything and lets it go on its own. That's not what it means. What does it mean? When a person reflects on a certain subject in his mind, you're thinking about something that's meaningful to you, flying a plane, driving a car, going to the oil, whatever that idea is. Your birthday's coming up, your birthday just passed. What am I going to do? What's Shabbos, Friday night dinner, sign up now. So you're thinking about something, maybe more of an intellectual subject, something that you learned in your mind, or even a physical object. Your mind sort of encompasses that subject and thinks about the different elements of it. If it's getting in a plane, you're thinking about the cockpit, all the different buttons and switches and dials. You could visualize it right now. If you close your eyes, you could see it. So obviously, it's just an image, and it's just in your mind. But they are in your mind. They're not in actual, you can't reach out and touch them yet, right? They're just in your mind. So they merely encompass His image of the subject, but not the actual thing itself. So one envisions a table. The actual table is not in your brain, but the image of the table is there. Whether it's a dark brown with nice legs, or it could be a plastic table. Now you see a white table with a folding table. You have that image in your mind. You can switch gears. But when it comes to God, God's thoughts are not our thoughts. When God thinks, things happen. Things are reality. When we think, it's just in our imagination. When we think something, it's in our imagination, it's in our mind. When God thinks something, those things actually happen. They take place. God's thinking about the blade of grass, it's growing. God's thinking about each and every one of us, gives us life. When God thinks, He brings something from non-existence, from nothingness, to something, to reality. And no human being can do something like that. All we can do is take something and change it from the way it looked before. So we could take a tree, chop it down, strip it up into different pieces, now bang it into a table, and suddenly where'd that come from? If you tell a kid that this book comes from a tree, they'll be like, no way, how? But there is a process, and that's what we do. We change what. So God's thought, unlike man's, encompasses the actual subject of His thought. Imagine God's thinking, but it's a real thing. It brings about their, and this is what we said yesterday, and we'll say it again today. Hashem doesn't operate in the dimension of time and space. Hashem is the knowledge and the knower and the known. which is kind of mind-blowing because we operate within time and space, so we can't really wrap our heads. All we can do is, going back to the mashal, is imagine what we're talking about here, but we do the best we can. So that's the first thing. We talked about Soviv Kalaman, where God encompasses all the worlds. And then there's another angle here. And God fills all the worlds. So not only does he think about whatever it is, and that's actual, comes into being, but he also is imbued and permeates every single thing, from the smallest, tiniest bug to the piece of lint to the greatest boulder, rock, skyscraper, cloud in the sky, birds and animals, and biggest elephant that, So that's what it means. He fills everything. It's almost like, we had the roof done a few years ago, and yesterday we found a leak. It's like a disaster. It's like a disaster. So why? Because water is going to find its way. It's going to find its way. It could be that the leak isn't even over there. It's near where you're saying. It could be it's over here and it travels underneath. Or it goes over there and it travels underneath. So why did I bring that up? Certain materials could propel water or whatever, but then oil spills and it just gets into everything. Not the best mashal, but the Eibishter is found everywhere within everything. But if he's everywhere, where is he? I can't see him. He's contracted and he's hidden. It's powerfully contracted within it according to the intrinsic nature of the created being, which is finite and limited in quantity and quality. Quality meaning its significance and importance. So since the life force must vest itself within the finite created being and unite with it utterly, it must necessarily be contracted and limited according to the intrinsically finite nature of the created being. So what's the example? Hashemesh, for example, the sun. Let's take the sun, for example. The body of the sun is finite, it's limited, and limited quantitatively, being approximately 167 times the size of the globe of the earth. So it's massive, massive compared to the earth, but still, it's limited. Obviously, the light is tremendous during the day. You know how many miles the sun is from the earth? 92 million miles away. But if on a hot summer day, and anytime the sun is out, not just on a summer day, you can't look at the sun. It'll burn your eyes, right? So the sun is extremely powerful. But is it eternally powerful? No. You can have a cloudy day, and that powerful sun gets diminished, or the sun goes down. You can't see the sun at all. Obviously, even though it's 92 million miles away, but maybe it can't shine 100 million miles away. There's a limit to how much light it could emit. It cannot illuminate indefinitely since it is a created being. The only thing that's infinite is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is God himself. So thus, although the light of the sun illuminates a huge, tremendous distance, the distance is not without limit. Likewise, all created beings are finite and limited. From the earth to heaven is a journey of 500 years, and so too from one heaven to the next is 500 years. I always joke, I wonder who took that trip so that they know how many years it took them, 500 years. So this time is written almost 300 years ago. And at that time, this was before, this is before electricity and power and all that other stuff. But I guess, the calculation was if you had to walk it or go with a horse and buggy, it would take 500 years. That's what I'm guessing. So since created beings are finite and limited, the life force which is invested in them is greatly and powerfully contracted. The Eibishter's energy is, so to speak, hidden. The powerful light of God has to be contracted many times over until created beings Bali Gvul V'Tachlis. And has to go undergo numerous powerful contractions until created beings by nature, which are finite and limited, are able to be brought into existence from its power and its light. So only after this process, not from the Eibishter's perspective, there's no limitations and there's no contractions whatsoever. But for our purposes, in order to exist, Hashem has to be hidden. Otherwise, it'd be way too powerful. It'd be like being much closer to the sun. So the takeaway is your imagination imagines things. Those thoughts are figments of our imagination. That's what we call them. And they're dreams, they're figments of our imagination. However, when it comes to God, when it comes to Hashem, when He creates things, He gives them life, and all He has to do is think, and everything comes into being. We call them words. God spoke, God thinks, but God can do whatever He wants. With Him, it's a whole different descriptive terminology. Okay, that's it for today. We're not done with Perek Zayin. Tomorrow we conclude. It's a little bit longer tomorrow, but tomorrow we finish chapter 7. All right, folks, have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.